our band members here, obviously. 3 right out of town, and it's a kinder, gentler sound. It's nice. Okay. How many of you are busy? How many of you are busy? Busy. Doing something. Just busy. Okay. Okay. Well, you came to the right place on the right day. I have a video of this group called One Time Blind. There's four members, and usually it's two at a time. But you've seen a couple of these guys before, anyway. So this today is called "Stop and Listen." Any comments before I go on? Hey, I know we're busy. We got to keep this moving. Okay, so the scripture today is pretty familiar to a lot of people. So Jesus is on the way, and this is kind of part of Luke where Jesus is moving toward eventually getting to Jerusalem. And so he goes to the home of Mary and Martha. And we assume that maybe Martha's the oldest. And apparently they're friends. And, Jesus is kind of homeless, and so he has to depend on people to look after him and his disciples and the people that are following him. And so here Jesus goes to this, and he may have been in this house a lot. Anyway, so Martha's the head of household, and she welcomes him to the home, and is that it? Oh, okay. There's a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet, which means, she didn't literally sit on his feet, but she was paying attention and trying to hang on to what he was saying. And Martha was disturbed because she had many tasks. So she came to him and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." And the Lord said, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things." Duh. And there is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, from which will not be taken away from her. Thank you. Okay, heard the story? Yeah. Okay, and I have heard countless sermons on Mary and Martha. Lots of ways to look at it, sisters, and maybe kind of two people live in the same house that have different priorities. And a lot of families, the oldest child is the serious one, takes responsibility. We don't know that is actually the way it was. And, maybe Mary likes to kind of waste time. Maybe she's never there to do the chores. I don't know. This is the chance for Martha to say, "Look, get my sister to do her share." We can assume all kinds of things, but that's not really the point. The point is that Jesus is pointing out that Mary chose the better. In Jesus' day, and it's still true, I think, in that part of the world, that hospitality is just so important. To treat your guests, maybe even people that you don't know very well, but if they're guests in your home, then you try really, really hard to take care of them. And it would have been an insult if Martha did not try her best to take care of Jesus and whoever was with him. And there could have been 15 to 20 people. And all of a sudden, it catches you on a day where you haven't been to the store and you have not much in the house, and you've been doing some other stuff and things are messy, and all of a sudden all these people appear and you've got to take care of them, well, it may kind of put you in a tizzy. You know, there's a difference between urgent and important. And sometimes urgent things really happen. Something happens suddenly that we didn't expect, and it's kind of maybe sometimes literally a matter of life and death. But we've got a lot of urgent things in our house, in our lives, that happen because we didn't take care of what was important. Like, if the car doesn't start, or don't run, or don't go, that's kind of urgent. But it was maybe not running because we heard a noise under the hood for the last month and didn't do anything about it, or didn't check the oil, or take care of the things that are important. Sometimes we have urgent issues with friends and family. But sometimes that's because we kind of ignored what was important and decided that everything would be okay if we just didn't pay any attention to it instead of trying to address the issue. And then, you know, the married person here is doing what pleased Jesus, which, I mean, that's got to be a good thing. And then here's Jesus in his role as a teacher and trying to referee a squabble between two sisters. Do you identify with any of these people? Okay, who would identify more with Martha? You don't have to say anything. Okay, how about Mary? Okay, which leaves every rest of you identify with Jesus. Congratulations. But they each brought an important role to this. I have been preaching about 50 years, and just the last 2 months, I finally figured out that if you get the sermon kind of done on Tuesday, that you have a much better week. I mean, my Saturdays are a lot more fun now for me and for my wife than when I would do last minute. I had a wonderful English teacher in the 7th and 8th grade, Mrs. Thomas. And Mrs. Thomas had this magic about her that nobody gave her any grief. And I don't know what it was. She was an experienced teacher, but the kids who cut up in other classes and acted out, they never did it in her class. They just knew that she was in control of the class. And so, of course, because of that, she was able to actually teach English. And I appreciate the education I got in those 2 years from Mrs. Thomas. And I remember she also taught me some other things too. And one was something I was supposed to do and I was putting it off. And she said, "It's later than you think, George." And, you know, I remembered that, although I kept spending most of my life delaying things to the last minute. But, you know, I made things that were urgent possible because I didn't take care of the things that were important in time. You know, you can set artificial deadlines and help yourself. Or, you know, you can say not say yes to everything, you know. People will ask you to do things, and we need to have our commitment worked out in some ways, but we are from time to time so stressed to trying to do so many things, we don't do anything particularly well. Or we can just say, you know, this is my commitment, and I'm taking care of that first. One of the experiences I fortunately had being in the church and going to seminary and going to church meetings and all that I had a chance to, like Mary, kind of sit at the feet of some really interesting people. I went to a General Assembly, number one going on right now in Iowa. It's every 2 years the church does it. And Desmond Tutu was a speaker. And of course he was marvelous. Some of you may have heard of Barbara Brown Taylor. She is an Episcopal woman, one of the most fantastic preachers around. I've heard her a couple of times. Shane Claiborne is a wonderful activist out of Philadelphia, a powerful speaker. I would never have had a chance to hear these people otherwise. And Disciples of Christ, we had our own giant for a long time named Fred Craddock. And some of you know that name. And Fred was an amazing guy. He was a small man. He said he was just the right size. And everywhere he'd go to speak, they'd have to get a box of some kind for him to stand on. But he was a giant. He was an incredible preacher. And he told all these wonderful stories. I told the couple in the first service, this doesn't really have to do with anything right now, but I'll tell it anyway. New preacher was called to the church, happened to be a man. First day he arrived, the church turned out and they helped him unload, and they brought things to put in the refrigerator and in the pantry. And that night they had a big cookout, and so he was talking to the guy cooking the burgers, and he said, "Oh, it's just great to be here, and everything is just so nice and all that, and that you voted to call me here unanimously." And the guy said, "Well, it wasn't quite unanimous." And the new preacher was, "Oh, really? Well, I thought it was unanimous." "Well, okay, it was." He said, "No, it wasn't." And so they went on, and he said, "Well, finally, okay." Well, he told them the vote to call him was 234 to 2. Well, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Well, not unanimous. So that new preacher, he spends the next 6 months trying to figure out who those two people were that voted against him. And the 6 months after that, trying to please those two people. And after a year, he was fired. And the vote was 2 to keep him and 234 to let him go. You got to decide who you're going to try to please. And I will close with another Craddock story. If we believe in God, we believe that we can change, that you can teach an old dog new tricks, right? In several parts of the country, the greyhounds are raced. They're amazing dogs in many ways. When they're too old or too hurt or not successful racing, then they are offered to people as pets, and if they're not taken, then they're destroyed. So lots of folks are trying to help out by adopting a greyhound. It was in a home that had adopted a greyhound that Fred Craddock visited, and there was this spotted gray dog laying in the den of the house, and there was a toddler that was pulling on the dog's tail, and there was a 3-year-old that had made a pillow out of the dog's big chest, and the dog looked happy. And Fred said to the dog, "Are you still racing?" And the dog said, No, not anymore." And Fred said, "Well, what happened? Did you get hurt?" No, I didn't get hurt. Did you get too old to race?" I said, "No, I had some racing left in me." said, well, did they not take care of you? The dog said, oh, they treated us royally when we were racing. Well, he said, then why did you quit? Well, the dog said that I figured out that all that running and running and running, and we were chasing this mechanical rabbit that wasn't even real. So I quit. And Fred said, how about that? New life is possible. We can change. So we kind of sit at Fred Craddock's feet for a moment, as we hope we can sit at Jesus' feet when we are, as Ellie said, aware every day of Jesus' presence, as we share in worship and communion today. You're invited to just take a minute. Know the presence of God, the love of God, the community of this congregation. We're invited to share in the giving of something physical, which represents a whole lot more. The giving of bread, a symbol of Jesus' body broken for those who followed him. A cup shared a common table that the Spirit that is in Jesus is with us today. All of us are invited to come and share our offerings and the gift of God in this day.